Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Hello friends, now I will provide you the answers to the questions related to the section ordering of words in a sentence. Let us now read the first question. The question is, for long and the backbone of India will continue to be the same. Agriculture has been. If you read the four options, you will find that two of them start with S and two start with Q. Let us now try to understand which of the two sentences can start with either S or with Q. If you start with Q, the backbone of India, I am talking of option C, will continue to be the same. This is possible. The backbone of India will continue to be the same, but we cannot fit S after that. Same agriculture has been. So that means part sequence RS is clearly incorrect. Let us now read option D. The backbone of India, S, agriculture has been. So this part sequence is also incorrect. That means we can safely ignore the two options that start with Q. Now let us focus our attention on the sentences which we create by using either option A or option B. If we use option A, SPQR, what is S? Agriculture has been for long, and the backbone of India. This and this, that means the PQ part is clearly faulty. So that means there is only one option remaining, and that is option B, SQPR. Let us now read the entire sentence by using option B, SQPR. S, agriculture has been. Q, the backbone of India. So has been the backbone of India, that means SQ is correct. P, for long, that means since a long time. And will continue to be the same. That means has been like this and will continue to be like that. The sentence is grammatically correct, and is a good coordinating conjunction which talks about the past and also relates it with the future and will continue to be the same. That means option B is the right answer. In this question, the four parts are P, the cry of general public; Q, agenda in any country; R, public policy making; and S is generally driven by. If we read the four options, we find that two of them start with R and one starts with P and one starts with Q. The very fact that two options start with R is a strong clue that shows that probably R is the best part to start the sentence. So let us first deal with either option A or option B. Let us start with option A. RQSP, public policy making agenda in any country. That means public policy making agenda. That means the policy of making agenda. So it is right. In any country, it fits. Q, agenda in any country. S is generally driven by. That means the public policy making agenda is generally driven by. The is the verb. That means the subject fits before the verb is. That means part S is also fitting after Q. Is generally driven by what? By the cry of the general public. That means this factor leads one to decide what the agenda is. That means option A is grammatically correct. Now let us read RPSQ, public policy making. RP, the cry, policy making the cry. This does not fit. That means this part is incorrect. So we can safely say that option A is the correct answer. And we should now shift to the next question. In this question, the four parts are: part P, before it starts, of the government is the essential power, and last, the power to manage conflict. If you see these four options, we find that there are two options starting with R, and there is one option starting with S, and there is another option with Q. As already said earlier, when two options start with the same letter, there is a strong probability that one of them is indeed the correct answer. So we should start by focusing on option A or option C. Let us read option A. RSPQ, the essential power, the power to manage. So RS is clearly inappropriate. We are using power together. That means this is ruled out. When we read RQSP, the essential power of the government. So this is right. The essential power becomes the subject of the government. Of is a preposition, and the government, this becomes the object of the preposition, and is the verb. That means we are following the system of subject followed by verb. So it works out fine. RQSP, the essential power of the government is. RQS is the power to manage conflict. How? When? Before it starts. So the power to manage conflict before it starts. So this also works out fine. That means part sequence SP is also right, and that means option C is the best answer. And there is no point in wasting time over the other two options, because our answer is already clear and it has been checked that it is grammatically correct. Now I will read out the next question for you. The sentences parts are: a majority of the vote, the party that received of the government must take control. Look at the options. PQRS. That means the answer could be anything. If you read this properly, we will find that P, a majority of the vote, it is possible. S, must take control. The vote does not take control. That means this part does not fit. Part PS. That means this is wrong. The next one, RS, of the government must take control. There is no point in starting a sentence with the preposition. That means this part is also clearly wrong. Option D, SQ, must take control. Must is a modal. We don't start a sentence with a modal, and obviously part sequence SQ is also wrong. That means the only option that merits consideration is option A, QPSR. Let us check its correctness by reading QPSR. What is QPSR? The party that received what? A majority of the vote. Okay, that received, which received, it means the same thing. So basically the sentence is the party. It starts as the subject. Which party? The one that received a majority of the vote. QPS, must take control. That means the primary sentence is the party must take control of what? Of the government. That means part sequence SR is also right. This is available here. So that means the party must take control of the government, and this is an embedded clause that received a majority of the vote. That refers to the party. It's a relative clause which mentions about the party. It's an embedded clause. The sentence is grammatically correct. So option A, QPSR, is the correct answer. Now I will read out the next question. The four parts are: can express a view on, in which the electorate, a particular issue of public policy. A referendum is a vote. If you see the first part, S, a referendum is a vote. That can be a good starting part. Q, in which the electorate, Q, P, can express a view on. So the electorate can express a view on, P, on what? A particular issue of public money, public policy. So that means this sentence is grammatically correct, and the best answer is A. However, let us see the other three parts. What is R? A particular issue of public policy can express a view on. So RP is clearly wrong, and that means we can forget about it, because the two parts RP cannot be joined grammatically correct way. QR, Q, in which the electorate, we cannot start a sentence with in which. That means this is clearly wrong. And what is P? Can express a view on. Can is a modal. It does not fit at the start of a sentence. So this is also wrong. So by checking the other three options also, one can only conclude that option A is indeed the correct answer. In modern societies, P or merely suppressed Q has class conflict R has been resolved S. So the four parts R, P and Q. If you see again, two parts start with R and one starts with P and other starts with Q. As already said on numerous occasions in the past, when two options start with the same letter, there is a strong probability that either of them is the correct answer. So we will focus ourselves first on the options starting with R and look at options C and D only if we are convinced that neither A nor B is correct. So let us read this statement by using option A. In modern societies, or merely suppressed, has class conflict and has been resolved. So it is RP. That means this is the first one, has class conflict in modern societies. Where? In modern societies. So this is an adverbial phrase. Next, RP, S, has in modern societies been resolved. So the basic verb group is has been resolved, but it is split. Moreover, we are starting a sentence with a verb. It leads one to conclude that the sentence is basically an interrogative sentence. So that means 1, 2 and 3 has been resolved or has been merely suppressed. This is the two parts. By using or, we are combining the two parts. So the two sentences are, has class conflict in modern societies been resolved, and the second part is, has class conflict here, okay, in modern societies been merely suppressed. So it is now clear that this sequence of 1, 2, 3 and 4 is right. This meets the requirement of option A. Let us understand the sequence RSPQ so that we can negate it confidently. RS, R क्या है? Has class conflict, it is possible. Been resolved, it is possible. PQ, in modern societies, or merely suppressed. So this adverbial in modern societies has been placed incorrectly because it is coming after resolved, okay, in modern societies. That means option B is not the correct answer. And PRSQ, in modern societies, PR has class conflict, that this part is clearly wrong. And QR, or merely suppressed, we cannot start the sentence with the conjunction or in this case, so this is also clearly wrong. So we can safely conclude that option A is the correct answer. RPSQ. I'll read out the next question for you. The four parts are, several of our food are being extensively cultivated and vegetable crops, hybrid varieties of. If you look at the four options, you will find that two of them start with Q and two start with S. So if we can decide whether Q fits in at the start of the sentence, it will help us in reducing the options available. Are being extensively cultivated. This starting the sentence with the R when it is not forming a question is clearly incorrect. So that means we can safely delete options A and C. And now when you talk of SPQR and SPRQ, the interesting point is that SP is common in both of them. We have only to decide whether the last part of the sequence is RQ or QR. So let us read part SP. Hybrid varieties of several of our food. So it is right. Okay, now we are talking of option number B, SP, of our food are being extensively cultivated and vegetable crops. So this does not fit. That means this is clearly incorrect. So we need to work on option D, SPRQ. S is hybrid varieties of several of our food. It is right. R, food and vegetable crops. So this meets now and is acting as a coordinating conjunction of our food and of our vegetable crops. So R is also fitting, and then say are being extensively cultivated. So this becomes the last part of the sentence. The full sentence becomes hybrid varieties of several of our food and vegetable crops are being extensively cultivated. The sentence is correct. The correct option is D. Now let us read the next question. The four parts are: against the officer, reason for the accusation, there should have been, who was in charge at that time. Who refers to a person. Who is it person? It is the officer. It leads one to conclude that after P we should have S. This is the case in option A and option B. It is not the case in option C and D. So these two can safely be ignored for the present unless we find that options A and B do not fit. So let us read option A and option B. Both of them start with R. It also is a further clue that we are on the correct track. That means we should start a sentence with the part R. So let us read part A. So option A, RPSQ. What is R? There should have been. P, against the officer. This is all right, but it does not fit. The P does not fit after R. That means this part is clearly wrong. That means we need to only focus now on RQPS. Let us read with RQ. There should have been reason for the accusation. So this is right. There should have been reason for the accusation against the officer. So this is part 3. And then we say here PS, who was in charge at that time. So this becomes the sentence 4. So now the sentence is correct. There should have been reason for the accusation. Against whom? Against the officer. Which officer? Who was in charge at that time? The sentence is grammatically correct. So the answer is part B, option B. The four parts of the sentence are: poetry is, and ideas, powerful feelings, the spontaneous overflow of. If we read the four options, we find that two of them start with P and one starts with S, another starts with R. It very clearly means there's a strong clue that the answer has to be either B or D, and we can ignore options A and C for the time being unless we find that neither B nor D works to create the correct sentence. Now let us read option B. PQRS. Poetry is right. This is here, and ideas. So poetry is, you cannot use and, a conjunction, coordinating conjunction after the verb is. That means the part sequence PQ is wrong, and that means that PQ is wrong. So we can safely ignore this without completing the reading of the remaining part of the sentence. Now let us read with PSRQ. Poetry is S, the spontaneous, it is right. RQ, so spontaneous overflow of the powerful feelings, this is right, and ideas. So it is clear, the powerful feelings and ideas. So and is acting as a coordinating conjunction of feelings plural and ideas plural. And poetry is what? Poetry is the subject of the sentence, is the verb, is the spontaneous overflow of what? Of powerful feelings and ideas. That means the sentence has been checked and option D is indeed the correct answer. Let us read the last question related to the part ordering of words in a sentence. The four parts are: part P, historical identity and a common descent. A group of people, Q, is called an ethnic group, R, who share a common culture, comma. So the point here is to note that there is a relative pronoun who. What does it refer to? Who share? It refers to people. That means part S should follow part Q. That means the answers, options having part sequence QS merit consideration. This is the case only in QS is in part A, B does not have, C does not have, and D also does not have. So we can focus ourselves on part A and determine whether it indeed is the correct answer. So let us read with part A, QSPR. A group of people, Q, S, who share a common culture, 2 and 3. Common culture, comma, historical identity and a common descent. So that means this culture, historical identity and a common descent are all correct. That means option 3. They share all these 3 factors is correct. And the last part is called an ethnic group. So he says here a group of people who share a common culture, this thing. This becomes a relative clause embedded in the main clause. What is the main clause? A group of people is called an ethnic group. But which group? Who share a common culture, historical identity and a common descent. That means the sentence is correct. The embedded clause is fitted correctly after the noun people, and that means option A is correct. So it works out fine. Since the other options do not have the part sequence QS, there is no point in spending further time in analyzing the other options. Option A is the correct answer.